Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tennyson E Stead, writer and director of Quantum Theory. I'm house sitting this evening, which is where the different surroundings are coming from. I'm going to tilt it down just a little bit. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about the idea of professionalism, because one of the things that Hollywood has become known for over the last 15 or 20 years in particular is a certain degree of flakiness and a certain degree of relaxed work ethic. A lot of folks in this town think it's okay to show up 15 minutes late or 20 minutes late or half an hour late. A lot of folks in this town think it's okay to show up intoxicated to work. And we've talked in the past and in previous blogs about the importance of habits and how they mitigate risk. Essentially, what that's about is the idea that most of the work that we do over the course of a career is going to be work we don't know we're doing. The things we understand how to do and the things we tell ourselves we know, the steps we lay out in front of us, they're not the lion's share of the work. All the things that we're doing while we tackle those steps, that winds up being the bulk of the labor that makes up, a career. So our habits inform the work that we're known for. And basically, professionalism or the most basic elements of work ethic, they're the entry-level habits. Showing up to work on time is one of the first things anyone, in theory, learns how to do. You can't start the work unless you're there. There's nothing else to do until you get that taken care of. And the same thing, for example, is true about being prepared for your work. Showing up, if you're an actor, showing up off book, being prepared to do the work that's in front of you and engage the other actors in a scene instead of having to learn your lines. That's something you're going to need regardless of what anyone tells you. There's no question that that's going to be necessary to the workload. And there's going to be a whole lot of other things that come up over the course of the day that nobody could have predicted, problems that nobody saw coming. Making sure that the problems everyone sees coming are handled habitually is literally the most fundamental aspect of success that you can put your finger on. And people who refuse to engage those fundamental elements of success, people who don't build the habits of taking care of those things automatically, those people are people you've got to watch out for. Because if they're not taking care of the most basic stuff, you can rest assured that they're not prepared to handle the really problematic stuff. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they're showing up late doesn't just mean that they're entitled to show up late because they're so useful. It almost never means that. It means they think that about themselves. But in reality, what they're showing you is that even the most baseline problems that could be solved are not something they're concerned about. And what that means in turn is that they're not concerned about the success of the show. And that's someone you've got to get rid of and out of your life as fast as possible. So, in my life, when people don't show up to meetings, I'll put it to you this way. Someone doesn't show up to a meeting, or if they don't let you know that they're going to be a couple minutes late and then they roll in, I very rarely, if ever, have found it to be the case that was the exception, or that person was somehow so worth working with that it made all of the problems that they created worth having and worth dealing with. Instead, I've always found it to be the case that the person who doesn't show up on time, the person who shows up not knowing their lines, the person who shows up without having done whatever work they needed to do the night before to be ready for whatever labor's in front of them, that person is letting other problems slip. That person is doing work that needs to be redone. And ultimately, they're going to be a drain on the production's resources, if not the reason the production fails. And from the perspective of someone who's going out there to meet other professionals from the perspective of somebody who's introducing themselves to the industry as an asset. You want to have all that stuff taken care of. Don't be late to stuff. Always have your lines handled. Whatever scene work you need to do before you show up, have it done. Prepare for everything. And be on time and handle your business. That's just going to be the end of this blog. That's what I had to say. Thank you very much for watching the 8-Sided blog. This is Tennyson E Stead signing off.